Thank you, Cathaoirleach. And firstly, I want to agree with every word that Senator Jerry Buttimer said and concur with it fully. Cathaoirleach, firstly, I'd like to propose an amendment to the order of business today and I wish to propose an amendment to the order of business that item number 1285 to be taken before item number 1 on the order paper without debate. And I suppose just to set the context here is that Seanáid Éireann calls on the Minister for Health to name the new Children's Hospital after Dr. Kathleen Lynn, noting her contribution as Chief Medical Officer in the Irish Citizens Army and her role in establishing St Ultan's Hospital, one of the most important centres for paediatric healthcare in the early years of the Irish state. So I'd just like to propose that amendment to the order of business. Leader, I'd just like to touch on the issue of Clement, and I want to thank you, Leader, for organising the interpreter. And I suppose in many ways this was an emotional day for me, because all of the people in this audience they're in their 50s and 60s, and all of them were in my primary school. But the difference were we were in one building and they were in a prefab with the rain pouring in, because there was no integration in the 60s and into the 70s for deaf. And what was unusual about this particular group, these are Anglican, Church of Ireland, all Church of Ireland people, that family had to mobilise themselves, hire out an old prefab in a school in Monkstown Village in Dunleary and be educated. They were not encouraged for sign language at that time. It wasn't policy, and there were a pilot scheme for a school in Cabra, but it allowed them to have their own identity, and we talk about identity a lot in this house, but this was that they were Church of Ireland and the family wanted them to have a sort of non-denominational education or choice within education, and so it presented it. And I suppose I invite them here today, and I hadn't seen any of them for over 50 years, but I remember them all. And I think when we met, there were many tears and many laughters too here today, and a sense of sound that came from them, and excitement, as one knows who deals with people with deafness, and many of them are profound deaf. But through an interpreter and through a conversation, I just want to share 3 things. And one of the strongest things was that many people found it difficult to get a job, they found it difficult to get secondary education, and they found it very difficult to get a job, and they found it very difficult to sustain a relationship. And I suppose more importantly, we talked about in our conversation today was, and someone said, will you bring that to wherever you need to bring it, that people with disabilities don't cease to have sexual needs, and it's something that they found as growing up, some people, in terms of sexuality. And some people with a disability, it's an area we don't discuss, it's another one of these taboo subjects, but we all need to feel loved, we all need to feel wanted, we all need to feel accepted, we all want confirmation, and we all want affirmation, and we all want an abundance of love. That's a human, we all need it in this place, everyone needs it, and I suppose that's my message. And my message is that through the disability sector, that we continue to be strong advocates for people in residential care. And I finish on this point. At a time when we're talking about much about abuse, physical, mental, emotional and sexual within institutions, just think of what it must have been like to have been deaf. Think what it must have been like to be a blind child in the blind asylum in Marion and all the other institutions that were meant to care for people. Think of all the people that had psychiatric illnesses, and they were vulnerable too. And many of them don't have the power or the ability to advocate or to talk. And many of them have that all locked and trapped within themselves. And just remember, when we're talking about a review of all of these things, I think it's important that we somehow take a look back and advocate and facilitate organisations that represent an elder group of people, maybe over 60s, that were in these institutions, because they too were hurt. They too feel forgotten. But more importantly, many of them had not got the skills or the ability to communicate and be a voice for themselves. Thank you.